Hello, you're listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club, and you're most welcome.
Well, it's Friday, it's 5 to 5, and that means that the doors to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club are open once again. Hello, everybody. My name's Paul Carmichael.
And I'm Alan Lear.
And you are most welcome to the Rambling Club this week. And this week we're, it's a difficult task for us, isn't it, Alan? Because we're trying to sort out the President's book collection.
Yes, Tony was a voracious reader of all kinds of fiction and non-fiction, so it's been a real task piling through all these books, trying to figure out which to keep and which to throw away. I have an entire set of 1970s Bradshaw guides, each one of them with the flyleaf in Tony's handwriting, reading "Portillo is a bastard."
We've also got an interesting section of novels by Dan Brown, all of which have just been defaced.
Yes, that's right. He's torn out every single page from the Da Vinci Code and replaced it with what appears to be a fossilized stool of his own creation. The book reads exactly the same.
Not somebody he was particularly a fan of course. However, he did like to keep these just for target practice or something like that. So we do have quite an awful lot to do today, don't we? Because, there's just so many other things to go through. But so long as... Oh, there's the door. Alan, would you mind getting that?
Yes, certainly. Hello, can I help you?
Hi. Hello. It's me.
I'll keep opening this bloody door until you tell me...
Let me in, it's me.
Oh, hello. Can we help you?
Yeah, I've come to collect Tony's overdue library books.
Oh, God.
Very overdue, 3 years.
Yeah. Do you know how many library books we're talking about?
I think about 12. And BNF's medical books and some Harry... He loves the Harry Potter books, so he's got all of them out on loan. And we're getting very angry children wanting them back.
Oh, okay. Do you want any of the Dan Brown novels back, or...?
No.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. Well, I mean... Well, we can, I suppose that we can start getting these together for you and seeing what we... Hold on a moment. Alan, do you recognise who's lurking behind that librarian disguise?
I certainly do. That lithe dancer's frame rings a bell.
Is that Mark Hutchinson?
Yes. Oh, thank you.
But, Mark, who are all these people that you've got with you?
I brought along a bunch of friends with me from West Kirby, the Wirral, so decent, honest, lovely people. Come on in, make yourselves comfortable.
Well, you're welcome into the shed. It's going to be a bit of a squeeze, but in you all come. There we go. So, as you are all here, I think there's a sensible thing to do, which is what we always do on a Friday. It's around about this time, which is we give Tony's bingo machine a bit of a whirl, and just to keep it all oiled up and ready, and we go for a bit of a ramble. Would you like to accompany us, Mark?
Rather, yes.
Excellent. And about your friends, would you like to come with us on a ramble? Well, in that case, we will give the machine a whirl and see where we end up, first of all. Okay, off we go.
Tony's enchanted bingo machine. A curious contraption of cogs, levers, and glowing buttons that hums with ominous energy. This machine generates 3 completely random numbers. These numbers are fed directly into the Dewey Decimal System, the arcane reference system by which books and their contents are categorized. In this way, the bingo machine conjures from thin air a topic of conversation so enthralling, so wildly unexpected, that it leaves the members of the Rambling Club both bewildered and vaguely excited. And thus, another evening is saved from the brink of boredom, thanks to Tony's marvellous, possibly haunted and entirely inexplicable bingo machine.
Well, here we are in the great outdoors, ready to begin our first ramble this week. And the numbers selected by the machine are...
5, 6, 2.
562, 562. And that means that the first subject we have is... The first subject Thank you so much. Fossil invertebrates. Fossil invertebrates. Mark, you had any interesting fossil-related accidents recently? Or?
Well, when I was working on the Cleopatras, which was a BBC series in the 1980s, I worked with some actually. No, I didn't. But funny story. I was playing a dancer in a Roman orgy scene, 5 dancers, and we had to be painted gold. So they made us all shave our bodies. 2 girls, 2 boys, 3 girls. And they gave us
Did they make girls
hairspray.
shave their bodies as well?
No, they didn't have to, luckily enough. But we're all painted gold, so we had to be shaved bodies. They gave us a kind of nair to spray our bodies the day before, so that we could be painted gold on the day before filming. So the night before, I'm ready, I know my dance routine. I spray myself, fine. All this half, completely fine, hairless. Not enough to do this half. So I was half man, half goat. And I had to go to the BBC the next day to sort of get another can and spray myself very early before everyone else came in. And then we were painted gold, had to wear these horrible tiny golden tunics. And it was great fun working on a BBC drama sort of, with lots of very interesting, famous characters. I think they were invertebrates, I'm not sure. But so over to you, Alan.
Well, there's a myth, isn't there, that somebody died from being painted gold that spread in the wake of Goldfinger.
Shirley. Oh no, it wasn't Shirley Eaton, was it?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
It was she, the actress. Who
That's it. Yeah. Painted gold. Or,
yeah, there's a myth that they left a square of her back unpainted because if you paint yourself entirely gold, you will die. Because, as everybody knows, human beings breathe through their skin and not their lungs. But yeah, that did the rounds for ages afterwards.
It did. It's one of those remarkable myths. I've never gone to that extent of painting myself like that. I did tell you, Alan, once that I accidentally, I superglued myself to the patio whilst trying to paint something. But I was trying to be impressive for my son, and I was trying to build something for him. So I was constructing something and drinking an entire bottle of port at the same time. And at some point, I leant on the superglue, quite casually, happily drinking, and then realised I was completely stuck to it. I was pretty much naked, and it was incredibly hot. So when my wife came back, she found me pissed as a lord, basically naked, superglued to the floor. It's got nothing to do with invertebrates, though, or fossils.
It's funny you should say pissed as a lord, because when you said fossil invertebrates, I wrote down the House of Lords.
Oh.
Well, I think we've spoken about this before, but there's a myth, isn't there? There's another myth about superglue, which is that it was developed in the Second World War as an emergency bandage, with trauma support. Because the explanation is that's why it's so much better at gluing your own fingers together than it is at gluing anything else to anything else. Of course, it's not true, because one of the principal ingredients of superglue is potassium cyanide, so you probably shouldn't use it internally.
Or just at any point when you're pissed on Paul's? No, probably not. Well, okay, so why doesn't... Oh, this is going to be a stupid question, I can tell. Right, but why doesn't superglue stick to the inside of the tube if it's so damn super?
Thank you, Ross Abbott. I remember that. I remember that joke from Ross Abbott's Madhouse. It's activated by contact with the air.
Oh, there is a reason.
There is a reason, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which is why if you've got a tube of superglue that's been around for a while, it's all crusted over at the top and you can't get any out.
Ah, right, okay. Cleopatras.
Yep.
Just thinking about myself, they weren't drunk, of course, but there was a lot of nudity in that, wasn't there?
A lot. The girls were topless, and the boys, we were topless, but in this little golden tunic type thing. Yes, it was very sort of bacchanalian and sort of quite sort of risque for the BBC.
It was, and it was really interesting, wasn't it? Because you didn't have full sets. There was a lot of black backdrops.
Yeah.
Quite representative, rather than trying to recreate ancient Egypt, which is probably sensible.
It was like a BBC soap in a way. It tried to be I Claudius, but it failed. It's more like a BBC soap, like sort of El Dorado does Rome in the early days. I didn't quite sort of... It was interesting, a curiosity.
It was, but you had this amazing cast in it, didn't you? And it was one of my favourite things about it is Graham Crowden, who you may remember from a sitcom called Waiting for God, set in an old folks' home. And by the time he did the Cleopatras, I mean, he wasn't the youngest, and yet there he is, topless, And but he, of course, he's such a big actor, so he's pronouncing everything like this whilst he's got no top on, and he's wearing the most remarkable Egyptian makeup and all that sort of thing. It's a fantastic, unusual series.
Yes, yeah.
Graham Crowden also appeared in a very peculiar practice with
Did?
Peter Davison and David Troughton, which is notable primarily for the fact that Graham Crowden has the worst Scottish accent in the world and is playing a character called Jock throughout.
And yet you don't mind, do you? Because he's just all over the place. Fossil invertebrates, though. We must try and bring ourselves back to fossil invertebrates somehow.
Well, we were going to, unfortunately, we were going to go down to the Jurassic Coast, weren't we, this year? Sadly, it fell through because of circumstances. But yeah, the Devonian period for fossils is very big in Britain, and the beginning of paleontology happened in Britain with, I can't think of her name, but there was a female paleontologist who discovered...
Mary Anning.
Mary Anning, thank you very much.
This is why we brought everyone with us, you see.
Yeah, we keep our memories in other people's heads at our age. So she kicked off the paleontology movement by walking along the Jurassic Coast and just tripping over fossilised dinosaur remains.
Wow.
There's actually the history of women in paleontology in Britain is quite a dark one, because some of the leading fossil hunters were women who sold their discoveries to eminent men who then went on to name the dinosaurs after themselves and so forth, but didn't actually get out in the field getting their hands dirty.
There you go. Well, it's not unlike, I suppose, at the time when people were writing, when women were writing, of course, they couldn't publish under their own names. So the Brontes,
Yes.
for example, were unable to publish anything under their own names and had to come up with these unusual names, which...
Ridiculous pseudonyms like Corabelle.
Corabelle,
Yeah.
yes. However, what we can do is we can try and drag ourselves back because Brontosaurus. So,
Clever.
yeah, there we go. Not that I've got anything much to say on this subject at all. I've always liked dinosaurs, but I think every single young lad has that fascination, don't you, where you go through that dinosaur point.
Period.
Yeah.
I think we also watched that film 100 Million Years BC with Raquel Welch.
Yes.
So everyone grows up with that, and it's the most exciting film in the world. Was it Ray
Harryhausen.
The
did
stop motion G.
Yes. And he's a genius. Those songs are so much better than modern films now with CG, etc. But as a kid, those songs were so dynamic and exciting and colourful that you believed them, and you wanted to be in that world with dinosaurs and Raquel Welch.
It's actually noticeable how much less stop motion has aged than early CGI. If you look now at the last films Harryhausen did, which were the original Terminator and the first RoboCop, they hold up much better than, for example, Independence Day. You can't watch Independence Day now. You're looking at it going, did they do this graphics on a ZX81? What is this?
It's, yeah, the way that these things have moved on is interesting, isn't it? That you can look at things that have aged so much more than things that are older. It's a fascinating thing. Are there any of your early performances on that subject then, Mark, thinking about it, with the Cleopatras? Were there any others that stick out where you think, oh, God?
Well, I was in a couple of episodes of The Goodies very early on.
I think this needs...
Yeah.
You were in The Goodies!
I just as a boy dancer extra type thing, but they sort of hired about 6 of us to do this. We were doing a marathon, I believe, I can't remember. We were just slogging along and fainting and dying along the way. I can't actually remember, but we did 2 episodes with them. And very interesting, as a sort of one of my first couple of jobs. So that's very, very interesting. I'd love you to be working at the BBC again. And when my first job was Lisa Zavaroni at the BBC, and we did 6 episodes with her. I think she was 14 at the time, and she was phenomenal. Each week we'd learn 10 dance routines. She'd learn 6 songs, and she'd learn sketches, etc. We had people like Wayne Sleep, Elaine Stritch guesting with us. My first episode as the boy dancer, I looked 12. She looked 12. I looked 12. And Elaine Stritch was guesting, doing a Stephen Sondheim song, Anyone Can Whistle. And if you've heard Elaine Stritch sing, you don't forget it. Anyone can whistle. That's what they say. Easy. And sometimes she's in tune, but more often not, she's not quite. But it was brilliant. I remember one day going to rehearsals at lunchtime thinking, where do I sit? I'm a boy dancer, where do they sit? And this figure said, hey, honey, come over here. And it was Elaine Stritch with a face covered in yoghurt with cucumbers on her eyes. And, come and sit here, kid. And she took charge of me, sat down, and I had my lunch sitting next to Elaine Stritch before I knew who she was, really.
Wow.
So years later, I remember seeing that wonderful Woody Allen film she did, Hannah and Her Sisters, I think. She was in that, or a film called November, October. And she's a wonderful dramatic actress as well, being as a fantastic sitcom actress as well. But she's so idiosyncratic. And I thought, oh, gosh, I had lunch with her a couple of times. And so that was nice.
Yeah.
People don't think about dancers on the goodies, but of course it was full of musical numbers because Bill Oddie was very keen on. There's I think it was David Quantick who was doing an interview about it, and he said there's this calumny that does the rounds about Bill Oddie where people say he's not a comedian, he's a frustrated rock star. So actually, because the goodies released so many records, Bill Oddie has had more top 20 hits than the Arctic Monkeys.
Weren't they one of the most successful musical ensembles of the 70s? I mean, because...
In terms of units sold.
The amount of albums, everything, it's fascinating that they managed to produce all that stuff. A song a week, which was a really good piece of work as well.
And they didn't really do a song a week because he did reuse a lot of the stuff that he'd written from. Sorry, I'll read that again.
Oh, that's true.
But of course, if you think about comedy in the 70s, it's before there were VHS tapes. So all the big comedy acts released albums. Monty Python did any number of albums where they recorded the sketches so you could play them back. So going from that to actual musical albums, not a big leap for the listening public.
No, not really. Not really, I suppose. Well, I don't know. Have we covered invertebrates, fossil invertebrates? I think we've probably covered that.
We've exhausted the topic.
I think we probably have, actually. Well, let's hope that the machine comes up with something a little easier next time. Okay, let's give her a whirl and see what's next. Off we go. Well, here we are then, a second location and a second set of numbers, and those numbers are...
7, 1, 3.
713, 713. And that means that the next subject is... Landscape architecture of traffic ways. Right, straight away I should say here that I can't drive.
I can't drive either.
Right, I've crashed everything I've ever tried to drive. First thing I crashed was a car, the first time I tried to drive it, and it was on a beach, and there's nothing to crash into at all. But I crashed a car on the beach. I crashed a vintage tram up in Derbyshire. I crashed a canal boat, and then when I was on my honeymoon, I crashed a husky sledge. And of course, the big problem there is that, unlike a car, huskies can get pissed off with you. And there's, at home, there is a photograph which my wife took, and it's me running away from a husky sledge as they're pursuing me. So I'm, probably not the best to start off on this one, but it's landscape architecture. But
I'd like to say Spaghetti Junction. Those are my two special works. Birmingham. I don't drive at all. I've never driven. Even when I was a kid, we lived down the road from a park. And I used to borrow my brother's bicycle, and I'd cycle up. But if a car came on the road, I'd walk the bike because I just couldn't do it. And years and years later, when I was doing a production of the Full Monty musical in Peterborough, they gave me a real car to enter in on stage. It was a smart car, so it was very small. I didn't get it till about half an hour before the show started. They said, "Mark, come onto the stage." They said, "Here's your car, get in." And then they said, "Open the window." I said, "I can't find the handle." And they said, "Put it in neutral." But then I said, "I don't know what that means." And then said, they had a bit of a conflab, and they talked, said, "Don't touch anything. Keep your hands on the wheel, keep them straight, and we'll push it on in blackout, and then we'll take it off at the end of the scene." I thought, if I put my foot on something, I'd kill the orchestra band. And I had the best song in the show in Act 2. That would have been such a shame. For them as well as me. But I was terrified. And then later, at the same theatre, about a year later, in Panto, they gave me, what are those sort of heavy scoot things that Bush fell off?
A Segway.
Segway. They gave me Segway to drive off stage. I said, "Can I just carry it off, walk off?" They said, No. They said, "Okay." So we were having a dress rehearsal, and I knocked down all of the scenery. That night, I was perfect, and I practiced every single day because it's all about balance. It's very sort of scary, the segways. And if the President of the United States can't cope, how was I supposed to cope? But about a week later, the actor playing the Dane, he fell over on stage and ran him over about 4 times because his frock got caught in one of the wheels. So the crew had to come on and sort of take it off. But I'm not good with anything with wheels. Roller skates, I smashed my teeth in Butlins Felly, and I had fangs for about 10 years. So I can't do anything with wheels.
No, I'm not good.
So this question of topic isn't my topic at all.
However, we do have a driver.
Yes, the Segway, incidentally, that you couldn't get to grips with, killed one of its early investors. There's a myth that it's the guy who invented it, but it wasn't. It was one of the first investors. Died because he rode his Segway off a cliff.
Yes,
Yeah.
I remember that. It wasn't Clive Sinclair, was it? No, he.
No. Clive Sinclair was way before that.
Right.
You're thinking of the C5, which is the electric car bike thing.
That's the one
that he invented.
That nobody bought.
No, nobody at all. No, it was. I mean, to be fair to him, it was an idea way before its time. There was no infrastructure. The battery life wasn't good enough. You couldn't. It was hopeless. But if he tried to do it 20 years later, he might have got somewhere. But yeah, the landscape architecture of trafficways, the only thing that springs to mind is the magic roundabout down in Hampstead Heath. I don't know if anybody's driven round it. It's a 6-pointed star, and at each of the points is a roundabout at which you can go either left or right. So there's traffic joining from every direction all the way around this mega roundabout. And according to people somebody who lives there that I know, every year it gets voted Britain's best roundabout and Britain's worst roundabout by the same set of residents. It is a nightmare.
That would be.
Yeah.
So land architecture, when it comes to that, I mean, I suppose we're talking about the fact that, well, roads basically are fundamentally just always awful. They've got potholes in them. Nobody, I mean, as a driver, do you find yourself ever driving along and feel that's rather pleasant to look at? Or are you not interested in that? Because I can't imagine I'd be interested.
What, the actual design of the roadway itself? No, not really. The only time you enjoy a road is if it's something like, locals might know, there's a lovely little patch between Thurston and Heswall, which is national limit.
What's that? National limits?
National limit means you can go up to 60 miles an hour
right.
on a single carriageway. But it's not straight. It curves gently through, and it meanders through some fields and some pretty greenery. So you can go full pelt down it, and because it's curved, you feel the car move. But it's not like a motorway where you just point it forward and leave a brick on the accelerator and fall asleep until it's your turn. So that's nice. That's a lovely bit of road too, because you actually feel like you're driving it. But recently, what they've done around here is they've come and skinned all the roads, so all the tarmac's up, and you've got signs everywhere saying "Don't go faster than 5 miles an hour, or you'll die." So driving around here is worse now than it's been for a while.
Yeah. Well, why didn't you learn to drive, Mark?
I think because I was so scared of bicycles on the road that I just never wanted to drive at all, because I thought you have to do things with your feet and your hands and the mirrors, and then you have to somehow manage the cassette player at the same time. And I thought, I can't do all of that.
See, you've said this to me before, and I said, but you learned complicated choreographed dance routines for the stage.
Well, yes, but it's much easier to throw a girl around than it is to sort of as a dancer in a routine. I've never injured anyone, honestly. Than it is. That's much easier. But oddly enough, I can never remember right or left. I always have to go stage right or stage left. I would just get terrified about everyone around me wanting to kill me, basically.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how good a driver you are if the people around you are all lunatics.
True.
I was working in Italy many years ago, and the traffic over there is crazy, and I can't imagine how you cope with that. In London as well, the traffic was horrible in London, so I don't know how drivers cope in London, frankly.
Oh yeah, the driving in London is not too bad because the traffic never moves.
Yeah, because they've got 20-mile limit, haven't they?
Well, it's all just log jammed solid, isn't it? So it's not actually that different. Some idiots tried to drive a limousine through road that's 6 yards wide and you can't move anywhere. So yeah, but I mean, you're right. The most important rule you can learn as a driver is that you have to treat everybody else on the road like they're a criminal, an idiot, or a criminal idiot. And your brother, the taxi driver, would tell you the same thing.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's... I suppose with a dance, at least if you've got a routine, then first of all, both sides of the body are probably doing similar things. And you can learn it in advance.
Oh, you learn it in advance. So,
There's that element.
And you have to practice and rehearse. And if you think, I can't do that, you just work and work until you do. I mean, looking back, you just did what the choreographer told you. So I've had instances where I've sort of been standing on stage and two girls would run at me, 10 miles, 20 miles an hour, and they jump onto me. I catch them both on one side each. And yes, they get banged knees, I get banged hips, but you're told to do it by the choreographer, so you do what you're told. And when I did West Side, I had to do things that I'd never done before as a gymnast. I'm not a gymnast, but you learn to do those things. And I think when you're a dancer, you're fearless. You're young and you're fearless, and you're not told you can't do it. You're told you have to do it. So you just get on with it, really.
I worked with a director once who... he discovered something that he found really, really funny, which was my awkwardness the time when he said, this is where you undress. And this was in a production of Hamlet, right? However, this is where you undress. And then I did another 2 Shakespeares for him after that. And every single time he'd find a reason for me to drop my trousers, like I was in a farce. So it happened in A Midsummer Night's Dream, fair enough. But it happened in King Lear. And you think, why is King Lear stripping down? And I'd look and there he is just laughing. Oh, it's just because the director finds it funny. They are sadists, aren't they? They can be. But
So you treated a few people to your bottom in Midsummer Night's Dream?
Yes, I did indeed. Yes.
Couldn't leave that lying.
No, absolutely not. Right, let's give the machine a whirl and see where we're going next. Okay, off we go. Well, here we are, third location, third set of numbers, and those numbers are
1, 3, 3.
133, 133. And that means that our third subject is... parapsychology and occultism. Parapsychology and occultism. Now then.
Well, Tony loved Dennis Wheatley. He loved the books and the films, and he was very into sort of movies like paranormal psychology. And what's that series, the Hollywood series they have? Is that The Conjuring?
Yes.
Which is very into sort of mediums and sort of things like that. And my parents' friends, my mum and her aunties used to love going to visit mediums, people like Doris Stokes, because with the Irish background, it was quite a thing people used to love doing. We want to get in touch with my nan, my auntie, whoever, and they'd go along to these not seances, but these meetings with mediums, and it used to be incredibly popular back in the day. It's not quite the same nowadays. And of course, in the 80s, 90s, you had Dionne Warwick on American TV talking about what was she had a hotline where you could ring up and have your future told by a... does anyone remember this, or is it just me? Is it a crazy dream? Oh, she made means for it. Honestly, you ring up and, hi, this is Dionne Warwick's helpline, and she'd have people on the line reading your fortune to you. And it's never worked for me. I haven't done it.
Dionne Warwick?
Dionne Warwick, she's sponsored, honestly.
Wow.
Have a look online.
I used to work for a TV company called Live TV a long time ago. It was a terrible place to work, but what we had was a pet psychic. And the idea was that you could phone in and claim that your parrot was ill or something, and the pet psychic would talk to your parrot over the phone. It was terrible television, but nobody phoned in because nobody watched. So we would just sit there. We'd just sit there with phones making stuff up about these various animals that we had that was ill. I remember that. But Tony wasn't a believer in any of this sort of stuff, was he?
He was fascinated by it, but he didn't really believe. He'd never had an experience of seeing ghosts, for instance, but he found it very interesting and quite fascinating and entertaining.
There's one of the great meetings of minds of the Victorian era, wasn't it? It was Arthur C. Clarke and Harry Houdini met up, and Arthur C. Clarke was very disappointed by the experience because, of course, not Arthur C. Clarke, sorry, I'm so sorry, Arthur Conan Doyle. What the... I had two of the initials right, leave me alone. Arthur Conan Doyle, of course, was very much into spiritualism, even more so after his son passed away. But he was a big believer, and Harry Houdini thought it was all bollocks. And they didn't get on at all.
Really?
Yeah. And so, story about Harry Houdini is that when he died, his wife survived him for quite some years. And his wife used to go around debunking psychics because they would offer to put her in touch with Harry Houdini's ghost. And before he died, they had agreed a code phrase that he would say to her from beyond the veil, and none of the psychics could ever get it. So she used to go around debunking fraudulent mediums, which is, of course, a tautology.
I was a fairly awful child growing up. To be honest, I was pretty awful to my poor mum. Always just coming up with just weird stuff that I could do to I don't know what I was trying to do, but on one occasion anyway, I set up this very elaborate thing in the living room where I had a glass and I had some fishing wire, and I just sort of sat there and the fishing wire went all the way around the living room. My mum was sat there watching the television, and then I just stared at the glass and just stared at it, and she was like, "Are you all right?" And I, "Yes, I'm fine." And then I just gave it a little pull, and the glass went shoom, like that. And she shat herself. And I thought, this is absolutely brilliant. This is fantastic. 3 hours later, the local vicar turned up and I was exorcised. And it lasted for hours. It was, I will never forget that. I'll never forget it.
It didn't work.
It didn't work, no.
And Erica's family had a fake psychic. Her was it your great-grandmother?
Great-grandmother.
Who used to get to tell families who'd lost people in the First World War that she could get them in touch with their missing soldiers. But so her other scam, which was much better, was that they were one of the first houses to own a television set in the area, and they used to form a bucket chain between the television set and the nearby bookies because the TV was live, whereas the bookies got the results down the wire a few minutes later. So the moment somebody won a race, they'd pass it down Chinese whispers style to the bookies and place a bet with a minute to go. I don't know how long it was till the bookies twigged.
That's fantastic.
It's good, isn't it?
That is. See, I do remember once talking about this sort of thing with Tony, and I said, "No, I absolutely do believe in this." And he looked at me and he went, "Do you? How sad."
And of course, we did a great tribute night at Fort Patrock last year, earlier this year. And there was an actor called Alex Lowe, and he played a character, a Scouse clairvoyant. I can't remember the name.
Clinton Baptiste.
Clinton Baptiste. I thought he was real. And I didn't recognise him at all. And he was so very, very fun. I'm getting the name Nan. Anybody know anyone called Nan? And it went on, and it was so silly and OTT. But I believed it was real. And I thought his character was real as well. Brilliant.
Well, what about you, Alan? Do you have any belief in this sort of thing, or are you... Oh, I can see the look. Okay, go on.
No, I mean, I try to be a pretty hard-headed rationalist about this kind of thing. I think we probably all have silly little superstitions and rituals and things that we cling to for no particular reason. We're pattern spotting animals, and sometimes the patterns we spot are nonsense, but we believe in them anyway. Like when you see faces in tree bark and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't really believe in an afterlife or anything like that. But you know.
Well, how do you explain this? I was in Morrison's yesterday because I live on the edge, and I bought myself a microwave, a tagliatelle carbonara because I'm very posh. And from the bus to my home, it's very simple. By the time I got home, the pasta was not there. How do you explain that, Alan?
I'd say probably because you're over 60 and your memory's not what it is.
That's not very nice, but you're quite right. But I'll just find it in the under my pillow in a week's time or something.
I've got one though, right? And you may not be able to explain this one, right? So this is, I mean, about 30 odd years ago, my wife was doing a Ouija board just at home, because that's the sort of thing that you do in Edinburgh, apparently. So they were doing a Ouija board, and they couldn't understand what it was doing, because it wasn't doing anything other than random numbers. Okay, it was just numbers it was going to, over and over and over again. And the next morning, there had been a disaster overnight. And those numbers were the coordinates of the Piper Alpha oil rig that went up. Poof! There you go. Now, she swears that you can take it up with her. Don't look at me. You can take it up with her. You know, there's something, possibly, or not. Possibly not, according to Alan's face.
That sounds to me like she misremembered the numbers after hearing about the disaster. She's layered meaning onto an event that didn't actually have any. The Ouija board, as we all know, is a board game. The patent for it's owned by Waddingtons. So it's not a proper piece of spiritual kit.
Not really,
it's meant to be... you know where the name comes from?
We and ya.
Yeah, it's just yes in two different languages.
Is that all?
Yeah. There's nothing particularly spiritual or romantic about it at all.
That's rather disappointing.
Yeah, load of crap.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Anything else on this subject before we move on to our final ramble?
No.
In that case, let's give the machine a final whirl and see where we end up. Off we go. Well, here we are. Final location, final set of numbers, and our final numbers are
6, 8, 1.
681. So a quick tap of the machine will tell us that the final subject is animal husbandry. Animal husbandry. I have too many animals, many of which I don't want, because I have a mad cat who brings animals in, but then just sort of like wanders in and just goes, what are you going to do with that? And he did this just over a week ago, where there was a noise in the hall, and he, what the hell is this? And he brought in a full-sized adult starling. I mean, bloody huge. No, not are, because it turns out they're quite violent. And the other things that are really quite violent and aggressive, I can tell you now that I've learned, are shrews. Little shrews with the long... And you think, oh, they're going to be cute. No, they're bastards. They go... But they had just been brought in by an insane cat, so it's probably going to be the case. But as you saw, when you dropped me off, and I ended up having to wrestle and rescue a seagull...
Yeah.
That was just wandering about.
A juvenile herring gull that was just walking around in a circle in the middle of the road in front of us.
Yeah. Reg, I called him. Which seemed like...
Yeah, because he nearly bounced off my reg plate.
He did, yes. And one of my favourite... Yeah, go on, I'll say it. One of my favourite things when it comes to animals, and I did tell Tony this, I think it may have been when we were recording something and the recording didn't work. So, and it's to do with a soap opera. It's to do with Neighbours back in about 1990. And Neighbours suddenly had this idea that what they needed to do was try and, diversify a bit. They wanted to get ahead of the crowd, and they wanted to see if they could be a bit more forward-thinking. So they decided they would bring an Asian family in. Now, they made two crucial mistakes here. First of all, they made a similar mistake to happened on a series you may remember called Tenko. Tenko was set in a female prisoner of war camp in Japan, but the BBC had the brightest idea you can imagine, which is rather than hiring genuine actors to come and do this, they just went round all the local takeaways and said, do you want to come and be a prison guard? So all the prison guards in Tenko, none of them are actors. They are all just people who worked in restaurants in Dorset. But on Neighbours, they decided we're going to go a bit forward thinking here. We're going to bring people in. These people couldn't act, okay, but fair enough, it's Neighbours. And the character were meant to be from Malaysia. So they brought them in. It's like, right, we've got them. What are we going to do with them? Well, we've got to come up with some Asian storylines. And so they did. And the one storyline this family had was Bouncer the dog went missing and everyone assumed that they had eaten him. This genuinely happened. It played out over 3 weeks on Neighbours, this storyline. Which is... And then at the end of it, they had nothing else. Well, we've done the dog eating. I'll get rid of them. So they just went. They were this idea of we're going to be so open. No, we've done the dog eating storyline. They can go now. That was it.
It's astonishing.
I know. It's amazing. Animals that. Well, you've got Molly.
Got Molly. Molly is a long-haired, gorgeous cat who isn't terribly affectionate, but is very, very funny. And she's absolutely lovely. She's a dog understudy. Tony loved dogs, and dogs loved Tony.
Stanley would just go.
Bonkers
Loved him.
As kids, me and my two brothers, we had a wasp's nest in the yard. Does that count?
Might do, yeah.
And we used to spend lots of time with bits of cardboard, killing as many wasps as we could in competition. And I did get a goldfish from the fair up the road once, but it got very sort of ugly looking, lots of entrails everywhere, and died very quickly. So I'm not really one to say. It's not my subject.
No, I had a goldfish from a fair that lasted a long time, actually. It lived, Samuel, its name was, and it lived, had a good long life in a little bowl in the corner. And then one day, my dad decided the fish had grown too big for this little bowl, so he upgraded it to a nice big tank with some decorations and some weed in it. And he put the fish in this lovely new tank and put the tank in the conservatory. When I got back, the fish had boiled. Alive.
Oh God.
So, which is what happens when you try to do kind things. Unfortunately, they backfire for you.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I've recently discovered that mice live a very long time. I always thought mice lived a year, but it turns out they don't. It turns out they can live up to 5 years. They can live up to 5 years if they're well looked after. And I know this because of the number of mice the cat brought in. And they come in and they've got a broken leg or something to go, we'll just keep it for a day or so. So now we have a mouse hotel for injured mice. It's like something after the Somme where you put soldiers in, you go, recover. It's just mice everywhere. But yeah. But you're not an animal because you don't have any pets, do you now?
No.
You're not an animal person, or?
Well, no, not really. I'm not fond of dogs because they need a lot of care and attention. And cats, cats are the opposite. They don't need any care and attention at all. So I don't see the point of having them. If I wanted a cat, I'd just get a bird bath and wire it up to the mains.
For a cat corpse.
Cut out the middleman. Well, no bird could just... There we go. Dead birds wherever you care for you.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, animal husbandry, though. Husbandry. That's the key thing, isn't it? So, what are we talking about, really? Are we talking about the care of?
The raising of farm animals.
The raising of farm animals.
And raising, breeding, caring for, all that kind of...
Yeah. I mean, I like the archers, but I've never really fancied the idea of working on a farm. I did lambing, which I think I've talked about before, where with the bloke who plays David Archer on The Archers, which you can hear in about 3 weeks. I went and did a night of lambing, and I did love it, but apparently it's not as exciting as that all the time. I was 9 years old, and my Uncle David suddenly said, no, what you've got to do is insert your hand. So, really? Oh, yeah, insert your hand. Sorry, I'm 9 years old. Hand up a U, just tickling a lamb out, as I was.
Do children small hands lend themselves to lambing particularly?
It's probably nicer for the sheep, isn't it?
Well, it's on the sheep, doesn't it?
There's
probably a few size queens in the ovine community.
A size queen? Yeah. Not heard that before.
But, well, you wouldn't, would you?
Oh, dear. Oh! Right. Anything else on animal husbandry? No? Oh, right. I think we're back to the shed then. Off we go. Let's give it a whirl. Get ourselves back to the shed. Well... Size queen. Well, here we are back in the shed. Our rambles for now are ended, and it's been quite a wide-ranging ramble this week. So, first of all, Mark, have you enjoyed this ramble? Is that the right word?
I'd like to think about it before I answer.
That's fair enough. Let's see if we can get a diplomatic answer from the audience. Have you enjoyed your ramble with us? Yeah. Oh, there we go. Thank God for that. Lovely. Well, in that case, obviously, thank you to Mr. Mark Hutchinson, our special guest. And thank you everyone for listening at home, and we do hope that you enjoyed this week's meeting of the Rambling Club.
Now, the club meets every Friday, but if you'd like to get in touch in the meantime, here's how you can find your fellow members.
Tony's official website is at www.tonyslattery.com, and you can get in touch with us on the contact form on the website.
Where it's we also speak Mandarin. We're at Twitter at Slattery Live. Please feel free to use the hashtag TSRC to discuss any of this week's topics.
I'm on Twitter as well, at Paul Carmichael V, but you can also find me on Blue Sky, and you can find Rambling Club on Blue Sky as well.
At Rambling Club, that's right. And Tony also has a good old-fashioned Facebook group at www.facebook.com/group/TheTonySlattery.
And he's on Instagram, Tony_Slattery_official.
But if these lovely people want to join the Rambling Club for themselves, Paul, how do they do that?
Well, what they can do, Alan, is they can go along to www.patreon.com/Slattery Live. There's all sorts of perks for members there. You can get your badges. There's all sorts of pictures that you'll be able to find there quite soon. You can listen to episodes 4 weeks in advance, and there are 2 podcasts every month with myself and Alan and our special guest Mark as well. So head over to www.patreon.com/Slattery Live.
Yes. And if you've enjoyed us talking with Mark Hutchinson about fossil invertebrates, and you know some people who are hungry from podcasts and feel they might like to trial a bite of ours, why don't you go over... Why don't you go to wherever you get your podcasts and leave a 5-star review, or a lovely little review saying that Paul has been a great evening date, or I am a night to remember.
And we will be back next Friday at 5 to 5 for another ramble. But until then, it's a goodbye from myself, Paul Carmichael. It's a goodbye from my colleague, Mr. Alan Lear.
Goodbye.
And it is a goodbye from our very special guest, Mr. Mark Hutchinson.
Catch you good.
You have been listening to Tony Slattery's Rambling Club with our special guest president, Mark Hutchinson. He was accompanied by Stephen Fry as the voice of the bingo machine. Acting President Hutchinson was assisted by Paul Carmichael and Alan Lear. The music was composed and performed by Michael Livesley and Andy Frizzle. Silly voices are by Michael Livesley, and the show's concept is by Paul Carmichael. Our producers are Stuart Morris and Alan Dybing, and the show's researchers is Sola Carmichael. The show's producers are Erica Lear and Mark Hutchinson, and the program was edited by Harry Carmichael. The series executive producer is Mark Strickson. Tony Slattery's Rambling Club is a Fanfinidal production.
Goodbye, and thank you for listening.